Live. Another day, another live. Today I'm going live with raw chef Yin. She's an amazing raw vegan chef living in Malaysia. Um, just waiting for her to join. Let's see. It's here. Hey Yin,
Hello. Hi, Damian.
how are you doing?
I'm good. A bit tired. Bundles are
Are
always
you?
very tiring.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah,
it's quite
but
late there in Malaysia too, right?
it's not too bad. It's 7:30 right now, but because I woke
Okay.
up at I I usually wake up my body tends to wake up really early, like 5:30 or 6. So by this time, yeah, I'm usually like my brain can't think anymore because I've been up the whole day.
All good. We don't have to do any math or any complicated things. We're just gonna have a nice conversation today
Cool,
about
cool.
our experiences as chefs, as working
Yep.
chefs, which is amazing. Yeah, I think we haven't had a live before, right? We have talked a little bit here and
No.
there, but yeah, we haven't done it. Yeah, awesome. But great to meet you here. Yeah, and welcome everybody who's joined us here. So awesome to have you. So we're
Yeah.
here in this another vegan bundle, which is so amazing. I mean, this one is so big.
I
I think it's the
know.
biggest one yet.
Yes.
Over 200 ebooks. That's so crazy, and for so cheap. Like every ebook costs less than 50 cents, really, in the
Yeah.
end. That's crazy. Anyway, maybe you wanna tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Mm, maybe, yeah, just mention whatever you feel like it's relevant right now.
Okay, sure. So, I'm a raw vegan chef based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I started doing this in 2016, so it's not a very long time. Before that, I was working in the corporate world, and then I quit my corporate job in 2012, trying to find my passion. Finally found my passion, but now trying to figure out like, is this what I really want to do? I'm very passionate about raw vegan food because it helped heal my eczema, which I was suffering for more than 30 years. When I actually decided to, so I had my training in Matthew Kenny, and when I decided to take up the courses, it was interesting because it was just more to make better tasting raw vegan food for my boyfriend. Um, but what happened was people started asking me to teach because they were very curious about it. So yeah, so I started doing some workshops, some demos, and then I got more and more invites, and yeah, so I tried traveling all over the world, teaching people how to make all this beautiful raw vegan cuisine. So in Europe, I think where did I teach? I stayed with a family and I taught them some recipes in France. I did some workshops in UK. I presented at the Brighton Vegan Summer Festival. I presented at a lot of the Perth Vegan Festival, the Bali Vegan Festival, the Singapore Vegan Festival. But all that came to a stop when, the crazy things happened in the
Mhm.
world. So I had to move online. So from 2020, 2021, I was creating online courses. So now I actually have 24 online courses and 6 ebooks.
Wow.
But then I suffered a burnout, so I stopped creating courses this year. Now things have started opening up, so now I'm starting to give talks and demos in Malaysia as well. So but I'm taking it easy. I'm not really doing any one. I used to do one-on-one classes as well. Now I'll figure out what I want to do in 2023. But yeah, because now there's so much bundle activity as well, so that has been taking up most of my time. I've done so my focus is more on education, but I've done some pop-up dinners as well, and some collaboration with Chef Tina. She's a raw chef in Hong Kong, so I've done some pop-up dinners here in Malaysia and Hong Kong. I've done some private dining sessions as well, but those are quite small. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. For this plant-based bundle, I'm offering my Christmas showstoppers course. So yeah, I think what I found very exciting about that was developing the raw vegan beet Wellington recipe for that course. I actually focus more on Asian food. So I think in the previous bundle, I was doing a lot of Asian recipes because I find like raw vegan Asian recipes, it's quite lacking. I don't see much around here. I mean, just internationally as well. I've tried to buy all the books that I can on raw vegan Asian food and all that, and there's not that many. So
Mm.
yeah, and I love Asian flavors and I miss Asian flavors, because when you take your um um when you take yeah, I think when I took the Matthew Kenny courses on how to make raw vegan food, it was all mainly Western. I think like I mean you will have
Yeah.
like your pad Thai, which is not pad Thai. We'll go into that later. And then you have like maybe like raw vegan sushi, but it's just that. So I wanted to introduce like Malaysian flavors, Thai dishes, Vietnamese dishes, because in my previous work, I used to travel around Asia Pacific a lot for my work, and I would taste all the foods, and I was a huge foodie even before I became, what I am today. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm up to and what I'm doing in a bit of my background.
Sounds awesome. I mean, you sounds like you've been so busy the past years. Yeah, amazing, amazing the stuff you do. And I agree that there doesn't seem to be so many recipes for Asian or vegan uh, recipes. But do you think that that's coming also from like, I mean, Asian food is becoming really known in the world in general, like cooked and raw and everything. Um, and many of the ingredients that you use for like the really Asian flavors are not so available everywhere. Do you think that that's
Mm.
one of the reasons?
Maybe I guess. I mean like I mentioned, like one of the very popular raw vegan recipes is pad Thai,
That's
and I think I bring this over again because have you been to Thailand, Damien?
No, I haven't. I was going to go, but then the whole
Oh,
situation
yeah.
happened with the pandemic and everything, and I couldn't. But yeah,
Oh, yeah. So that's a pity, but
I love Thai
but
food though.
are
So
you able to get like authentic Thai food where you live or wherever you've eaten? Like,
no, definitely not here, not where I live.
uh,
It's impossible. Probably in
right.
Barcelona would be I'm in Spain, so but I
Mm,
live in a small village in the middle of nowhere, the nearest city where I have to drive 1 hour to get my groceries and stuff.
right,
It's not
right.
it's not easy to find like Asian stuff. I mean, there's of course some Oriental shops, with all these processed Asian foods, but there's not much fresh ingredients. Like the most exotic things that you can find is probably like um, some bok choy or things like that. Like
Right.
really very, very, very basic. Like no herbs, no spices, no things like that. But I've always been so inspired by the flavors from everywhere in the world, and Asian cuisine like always called me a lot, and I always try to recreate the dishes as close as possible to the
Yes.
original. Of course, I can't find things like galangal or anything, but
Yeah.
I can work with what I have. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 I'm glad you mentioned galangal because I think that's one of like the core ingredients in Thai food, the cafe lime leaf, or maybe now it's called makrut lime leaves as well, and things like that. So I always find like the Western pad Thai, they just like throw in almond butter or throw in peanut butter and some ginger and then call it pad Thai. And I'm like, no. And then they put in like like cabbage, like red cabbage. And I'm like, no, that's not it. You need your chives. You need your fish sauce or your soy sauce, I suppose, or your
Mhm.
yeah, tamari and all that. So, but I guess, I mean, yeah, I see what you mean by like it's harder to get the ingredients unless you are in like a very cosmopolitan city such as,
Yeah,
you know, if you're in London or if you're in New York, then
yeah.
it's easy to find that because I remember so yeah, I was in London for 3 weeks. I was very lucky because um I managed to stay with another chef friend. So I had access to his kitchen and then he had all the spices that he had. I'm like, wow, you have lemongrass here, you have, you know, all the jackfruit, the coconut milk and everything. And then it was also, and I was teaching how to make tempeh from scratch. And then they were like, oh, you know, I was just saying like, oh, we could make it in banana leaves if you want. Can you get it? And they're like, yeah, just, you know, check out. Like, we went to
Mm,
Chinatown. I got all the ingredients. So, but that is London, and London is very
yeah,
cosmopolitan. So,
yeah.
yeah, I guess it's access to the actual ingredients. So you're just trying to, I guess then you can call it Thai inspired or Asian inspired rather than call it, you know, a Thai dish or Asian
Yeah,
dish.
definitely. Um, I mean, my recipe for pad thai is exactly what you said. You know, I put some almond butter, some ginger, garlic, and stuff like that. But it's, you know, it's inspired. It's inspired in Asian cuisine, and that's, yeah. I mean, it's not the authentic stuff, but it still tastes amazing, right?
It
So
tastes great, but it
that's
doesn't
the most
taste like
important thing.
it doesn't taste like pad Thai at all
No,
in Thailand because you know, because Malaysia is right next to Thailand. I've traveled to Thailand like more than 20 times because like I said, I traveled there for holidays. I also traveled there for work previously, and I've done workshops there as well in Bangkok as well as in Chiang Mai in Thailand. So I'm very, very familiar with the Thai flavors, and I've also taken Thai cooking classes as well. So that's why when I see all these recipes, I'm like, oh my God, this is not
yeah.
Thai, no. But
So
yeah,
what
that's
would you
just
say?
like one of my things.
So what would you say that is your favorite thing, your favorite raw vegan recipe or raw veganized Asian recipe?
Um, rendang, my Indonesian rendang. I
Rendang.
have, yeah, I love rendang, and there's so many kinds of rendang actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
How do you make the meat part?
I use mushrooms.
Oh, yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Awesome.
mushrooms.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
Um,
rendang too.
I've made different kinds actually. I've used mushrooms. I've used cauliflower, but I mean cauliflower doesn't have that kind of meat
Yeah.
texture, but it still has the flavors because I think it all depends. The rendang is very what is important is the spice paste, right? So you if you get the spices correct and the levels and the balance, and then it works out. And also just like um there's so many different kinds of rendang. So some use coriander seeds, some don't use coriander seeds, some use cumin, some use lemongrass, some you don't. One thing that for me makes it taste really good is turmeric leaf, but I guess that's also difficult to get. You know, if you're not in
I
Asia.
grow I grow my own turmeric here in my garden, so I have some turmeric leaves. Yeah. I actually didn't know that you could eat them until I went to Borneo, to the Malaysian part in Borneo. In all the markets in Kuching and so on, you see all these amazing, like they look like
Yeah,
it looks like you're on a market on another planet completely, like alien vegetables, like you don't see it here. And I was like
yeah.
in my sauce, like that's oh my God, so exciting. And they were selling turmeric leaves, and I was like,
Uh,
whoa, that's so cool. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I remember I think I made a ferment once. I used cherry tomatoes and turmeric leaves and did like a lacto fermentation on it. It was so good.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can also just shred the turmeric leaves like really fine and put it on top of your salads as well since you're growing your turmeric. So that would
That's
be
good to
great.
know. That's a good impulse right now because it's getting cold and so the leaves are starting to die. But
Oh
um,
yeah.
that's a good use of them. Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah, it will. What were you doing in Kuching?
I was just visiting. I wanted to see and
Ah,
try all of these jungle fruits. So I was in Kuching. I was in um, oh my God, I forgot the name. There's a city further up north. It's next to Brunei. It starts with M. Uh,
Miri. Was it
yeah,
Miri?
Miri.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miri. And then also Limbang. And then I tried all of these crazy, amazing jungle durians, Chempedak, Chempejak, Dabai. Oh my God, Dabai. I love it. Have you been to
Wow.
Borneo in Malaysia?
Yeah, so I've been to I was in Miri. I've been to Miri twice. And yes, I was looking for Dabai everywhere. I couldn't find it. Um,
Oh
but
my God.
I managed to find frozen Dabai here in KL. There's one of these slow food restaurants in KL. They actually bring the frozen ones in. So I bought like 4 packets. And it's some of them are in my freezer, and then I just have a bit, whenever I feel like having it. But yeah,
How was that?
um, it's nice. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the ones that I have, it tastes like cheese. I'm so amazed.
It,
Yeah,
it's crazy. I don't know how the frozen one tasted. I can imagine not just as good as fresh, but still, dabai is such an amazing fruit. For those who don't know it, it's like a small, like this size, maybe some are smaller also. It looks like an olive and
yeah,
big. It has a yellow dot, and each tree gives a different variety, and each variety tastes slightly different. But like the base of it is like mashed potatoes with some
yeah,
kind of cheese, and
yeah,
depending on the variety, the cheese taste is different. So some taste more um, like a very intense aged Parmesan, and some more like a cottage lighter cheese, like ricotta or something like that. And then lots, especially the skin has a lot of intense herbal flavor, like very intense herbs like rosemary, thyme, all of these very, very intense flavors. And it tastes slightly salty. It's very buttery too. It's
yes.
just so, so good. Oh my God.
It's so
I miss it.
buttery.
I miss all of these fruits. Oh my God.
Come to Asia soon. I keep telling
I will,
like everyone in the raw food bundle to come to Asia. Like we need to
you,
organize like some kind of well, you can
yeah.
organize a retreat and then everyone can come over.
I definitely plan on doing that at some point in the close future, hopefully. Yeah. The only thing
Yeah.
with retreats, organizing retreats in a foreign country is like, like the legal aspect of it. Like,
All right. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
um, we can make it happen, right? Yeah, it would be so amazing to have a raw vegan festival in Asia somewhere
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be really
with
cool.
all the durians and everything. Oh my God.
I saw someone asking something about what did someone ask about Indian food? I don't know whether you saw that or not. I think it was a
Um,
question about that. So I'm just wondering. How about Indian spices to raw
oh yeah,
vegan
I
meals?
see.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that? And then I'll answer my
Um,
um my side of the
you can
question.
answer that. Yeah, that's the question for you.
Uh okay. So I actually have so I love Indian food and we have a huge Indian community here in Malaysia. So and I grew up eating a lot of Indian food anyway. And I've also traveled to India as well. Oh my God, the food in India is so good. It's like, yeah, it blows my mind. But here we also have a lot of authentic Indian food. So I do use the Indian spices. I actually have a course on Indian food as well. So I make and I think it's more of South Indian. Yeah, so there's like
Or
I
coconut
make
based.
dosai, I make aloo gobi, I make the okra dish. There's curries. Let me see. I don't know whether I can find it or not. And then so yeah, I do use a lot of Indian spices. So because we have so much access to the cumin, to the coriander, cardamom. Ooh, yeah, I love adding cardamom to my desserts because it's
Oh,
it's such a interesting spice and it's just like it seems to go with everything. I obviously
so
have
good.
yeah, I obviously have a masala chai because everybody likes that. I find that like, oh, that's so boring, but you know, people like it. I mean, I
I love
actually
it.
like it as well. I like it
I
as well,
love
but
I love to make it during the winter. Yeah, just make a chai. It's so good. Just
yeah,
so, so good. And
yeah.
I think out of all the Asian countries, I would say Indian food is one of the most known. And the ingredients
Mm,
are also the easiest to get all over the world. Like, I mean, the quality doesn't compare to like really proper Indian spices, but you can get like a curry mix in any
yeah,
supermarket nowadays.
yeah.
And um, yeah, I think it's just one of the most versatile spice mixes for making raw foods. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and the easiest to use too.
yeah. However, I find like because the curries here are very strong and very robust, I find like the curries that I've had in, you know, like yeah, in London or in where else have I had it? Yeah, other parts of Europe or even the US, it's so mild. It is so it's almost bland for my taste buds.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's almost like as if they were afraid of using too much.
Yeah, I guess so because I guess if you're not accustomed to the taste and the flavor and
Yeah.
the yeah, the fieriness and the robustness of it, then maybe you have to like tone it down. So that's why when I make, you know, when I try out other people's raw vegan curry recipes, I always tell my audience like if you're Malaysian, don't expect it to taste like Malaysian curry. This is
No,
like yeah, it's
that's
gonna be
that's the
very
thing with
different.
that's the thing with raw foods. Um, when we cook spices, they they acquire a different kind of level of taste and fragrancy, and everything just changes with, you know, the chemistry of the heat. Um,
Yeah.
but you still can make amazing food, especially if you have a dehydrator. Concentrating those flavors with dehydrating the food, it brings up these different layers of flavor to it, with all the different spices and everything. It's not gonna be the same um, as cooked, of course not, but you can get close to it. And you know, it doesn't have to be exactly like that. It just has to be tasty. That's the end goal, I think.
Yeah.
But there's a really good question here from Trigaya. Um, what's your everyday food, please? Being a chef, do you both feel good about simple foods and why? Do you want to answer that first?
Oh, okay. It depends on my mood and it depends on what project I'm working on. I mean, like previously when I was creating courses every month because I was doing a monthly subscription service. So I think like the 3 weeks in a month, I will just be testing and developing recipes. So I'll just be basically eating whatever I'm doing for that month. So
Yeah,
it might be Vietnamese raw food or Thai raw food or the Christmas. You know, I ate so much beef Wellington. Oh my God, creating for this. But if not, I usually keep it simple because I don't want to be spending all my time in the kitchen. I want to do other things as well. So
yeah,
so usually what I do, I for my breakfast, I it depends. I go through phases. So sometimes I'm like in a green smoothie phase. So I'm like, you know, every day I'm having a green smoothie or breakfast. But other times I'm like, oh, I don't want to wash my blender, so I'm just gonna have fruit for breakfast. For lunch, I have a salad. I know everybody says that you should have your salad for dinner, but I find like by dinner time, I have no energy to like, you know, chop up and make a huge salad. My knife skills are not very good. So I find like it takes me like 40 minutes to make a salad and then another like 40 minutes to chew a salad and another half an hour to wash up. So lunch is a really long affair. And also I think because just my salad has way too many ingredients in it. So yeah, I make a salad for lunch. And then for dinner, I just monomeal. So yeah, it'll be, you know, like a monomeal of papaya or pineapple or whatever local fruits I can get. Or you know, yeah, just whatever fruits. Usually it's just a fruit meal. If it's not a fruit monomeal, it's just a fruit meal. So that's
yeah.
what yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, that's my
Mm,
everyday food actually. So yeah, fruit and then salad and then back to fruit again.
yeah. I find that also a good approach. I used to eat that more in the past, fruit salad and then fruit again, because I found it also easier for like the lifestyle that I had back then. Now it's for me answering the same question. Fruit breakfast, whether it's fruit monomeal or different fruits, whole or a smoothie. My lunch is also fruit, usually a green smoothie. I introduce some greens in my lunch with fruit. And then dinner is really the simplest salads ever. Like that's on the daily basis. Bunch of greens, lots of different herbs in there. I love herbs. I love fresh herbs in my salad, so I put a lot of like I love dill, for example. I live in Spain, but I was born in Poland, and the Polish flavor is dill, like really, and that's almost in all my salads. I also have plenty in the garden, so it's like I put a whole bunch in there.
Yeah,
Cilantro,
your recipe said
parsley, any, yeah.
when your recipe said a bunch, I was like, how big is a bunch of dill? Because you see, I cook a lot of Asian food, right? I had to go out and like I couldn't get the dill in my usual online delivery, so I had to like go to
Mm,
one of the more the yeah the grocers the grocery near I think it's called Ben's Independent Grocer. Anyway, I had to get that to get the deal, and then I was like, one bunch, like, okay, what's a big bunch? What's a small bunch?
yeah, I guess it depends for every person, like
Yeah.
but it's really like I don't know, a small
Well,
like 10
let's
to 15 sprigs of the dill at least. Like really just a nice
in
handful
terms
of it.
of cups. Let's say in terms of measuring cups. What would you say? Because that's how I
Um,
think.
like
Yeah.
from half to three quarters when it's chopped. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I most probably only put in like a third or something like that. But okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Sometimes even more. If I mix up different herbs like parsley, dill, cilantro, um, anything really, I put more in there. Anyway, so that's my base, like lettuce, spinach, kale, some other greens, some microgreens maybe, if I have them, and then that those fresh herbs. That's my base of the salad, and then I put some plain like veggies, cucumber, tomatoes, peppers, carrots, some cabbage, whatever I have available really. And then it's the simplest dressing is just I like to have a big jar, which I make like 2 to 3 times a week, and then I keep it in the fridge for the next day. I save a lot of time doing that, and it's just honestly hemp seed or some other nuts or some cashews or walnuts or almonds, blend it with water, and I keep it plain so that I can use that and flavor it with other things. Like, the herbs will give different flavor profiles. Then I dress my salad with that. I add some well, lots of lemon juice or lime juice in there. And then I like to sweeten it a little bit with either some coconut sugar or some dates. And that is the perfect salad for me for every day without losing too much time with it. That's really what I focus on because I mean, having more complex recipes is amazing because it helps you also to stay raw. It helps you to enjoy your food more. And I have plenty of recipes like that are more complex and also some more complex dressings also. But for every day, what you eat what you eat every day, it's really super simple. And I think that that's the good base to really, yeah, enjoy your food while also not losing too much time with it.
How long does it take for you to make your salad?
Well, to be honest, my knife skills are good, I would say. It takes me, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes with cutting, cleaning, and then I sit down to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering because I know Lisa said she also takes like 15, 20 minutes. And I have time myself. I think the fastest I've taken is still at least half an hour. Maybe I'm just wondering also, maybe because sometimes I add in different kinds of greens because I get a lot of Asian greens, right? So and it's not just bak choy and kailan, and there's like so many others. We have so much different greens here.
I
So
love
sometimes I have
Thailand.
like, yeah, four different kinds of
I love
greens
Thailand.
in
So,
there.
so good.
And yeah, and then because I also want to put in some of my ferments in it, then I put in my sprouts, then I put in my seaweed. Then it's like, I
Yeah.
have to take this ingredient, that ingredient, and all that. So
Actually, I forgot to mention that seaweed I also put quite often in my salads. For example, I have these wakame or dulse seaweed flakes, and that's amazing also in the things. I also make my fermented veggies. I have some kimchi right now, for example, which I love. Yeah, but I think it comes down to organization in the end and knowing like where you have everything because I don't know about you, but I worked in professional kitchens before. I worked as an actual chef in kitchens and restaurants for 7 years before. So I like my mind already works like, okay, while I'm cutting this, I'm thinking about the next step already, and I'm thinking like I'm everywhere in my head. And yeah, my head already like works. Um, so I know what I have to do, and I do it quickly. And of course, like the knife skills, professional knife skills, that helps a lot, to be honest. But you can also do it so much easier for yourself with like, for example, using a mandolin to cut some veggies, or using a grater to grate a carrot, or even having a mix of greens. Um, I'm I'm not sure if that would work so well, for example, in the tropics where it's really hot outside, but
yeah.
even in the fridge, it's easy to keep. Like you can do a big you can take a big Tupperware, cut your greens already, like do some food prep beforehand, and then put a damp, uh, clean kitchen towel inside, and then you keep the greens like that. They keep fresh. They keep really crunchy and nice for 3, 4 days, and then you do that 1 or 2 times a week. And when the dinner comes, you just grab a couple handfuls, put it in the salad bowl, and you save a lot of time that way.
Yeah, I think for here in Malaysia, it's only the hard vegetables, like the root vegetables. So the carrots you can prep in advance, the bell pepper maybe as well. But I mean, if like the leafy greens, it goes bad very fast. I mean, even like 1, 2 days, and then it's like it starts browning and yeah, and wilting
Yeah.
and all that. So
But I have found that that method of putting it in a
oh,
Tupperware and then
in the kitchen
yeah,
towel. Yeah,
put
I
kitchen
do that.
towel.
I put
Yeah,
the paper towel in my airtight container and I cover it, and it's still like the next day is like, why are you guys brown already?
but don't put it in an airtight container. It needs to breathe
Oh,
still.
right,
Because
right.
I remember when I was in Bali, yeah, everything lasted much less. Like it really
Yeah,
was going bad very quickly. Yeah, and
yeah.
the weather is very similar in Malaysia as in Bali, so I can
Yes,
imagine that. Yeah, that's the
yeah.
case. Someone is
Yeah.
asking here also that can't find it anymore, but they were asking that um, they say it's easier to stay raw in Malaysia and in Spain, and if we have any tips for people who live in colder climates. Well, first of all,
Um,
I want to mention that Spain is still a cold climate. It's still cold here. It might not be just as cold as the UK, Germany, or so. Um, not we don't have just as long of a winter, but we still have a winter. It's cold now. It's 7 degrees Celsius outside now, so it's cold.
yeah, so it's interesting. So weather-wise, I think it's easy to stay raw in Malaysia, but food-wise, it's difficult because there's so much temptation of so much good cooked food in Malaysia. I don't know whether you experienced that when you came to Kuching or not. Like,
Um, well, I was living in Bali for 8 months, and I was in Kuching in Borneo in general for 3 weeks.
yeah,
I didn't have those cravings so much because um, I didn't allow myself, like, I wasn't attracted to it, you know? And I think that the cravings come once you've had it before and you know, like, where to find these things and so on. But I wasn't going to any restaurants. I wasn't, um, in Bali, for example, there's not much culture of like street food, not that much as other parts of Asia, I would say, like Kuala Lumpur, for example. I
yeah,
can imagine there's a lot of street food, and you just
yes,
smell it, and it's just so easy to get.
yes.
But once you start doing that and you have that habit, it is more difficult to like give it up and not go for it. But if you never do it, like I never did really, it was not a problem for me personally.
Yeah, because what did I want to say? Uh yeah, sorry, I just like completely lost my train of thought.
All good.
But
Chris is here. Hey, Chris. Chris
hey
Kendall's here.
Chris. Oh, I made Chris's
Oh, and my
raw
friend Julia. Hi,
raw
Julia.
vegan raw vegan
There's so many
shepherd's
people.
pie. It was so good. Chris's raw vegan shepherd pie, I made it today. It was like amazing. I was like,
Oh,
oh my
wow.
God, I haven't had it really tastes like
Talking
shepherd's pie. Yeah, I
talking
loved
about
it.
Asian food and Chris, have you tried his cocoa butter curry
Yeah, I've
recipe?
tried that. It's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Hey
Awesome.
guys, joining you
You're
from the
from the bathtub. Yeah, that's nice. Awesome.
It's funny. Oh yeah, the winter thing. I mean, I'm trying to remember like because in Malaysia everything is temperate, right? We don't have 4 seasons here, but I'm trying to remember like when was the last time I experienced cold weather. I was in the we sent some questions in the question box. Please have a look. Ah, okay, cool. I think Damien on your side you have to have a look at the questions.
Yeah,
But
I was looking now. So yeah.
yeah, and then I think you can press something and then the questions kind of pop up and appear. But I was in Boston in 2020 in March, just before the lockdowns. So I was in the US for 1 month from mid February to mid March. I wasn't completely raw, but I did have I did have some cooked food and some raw as well. But I understood why people say it's a bit more difficult because when it's so cold, you just want to have something like warm and comforting. But then again, raw food you can heat them up in the dehydrator or just like on a very low heat on on your stove, and at 45 degrees Celsius or 115 Fahrenheit, it's still very warm actually. Like you can still have your nice
Yeah.
warm soups and all that. In the plant-based bundle, there are Raw Food Romance. Lisa has actually an ebook on winter and how to stay raw in winter. So she has really good tips, and she talks about things like using warming spices, and also things like add in your ice cubes in your smoothies like towards the end and blend it in and that. But she has a lot of practical tips.
Mhm.
I also tried out Michelle Deborah's. She has an ebook called Winter Warming Foods, and I tried out 4 recipes from there because I was serving my friend dinner. So we had a warming smoothie. There was a chickenless pot pie. There was a mushroom stroganoff and pecan pie cups, and everything was amazing. And that's also like very winter and very warming as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're open to, because if we use the dehydrator and the crust for the pot pie was really good. Yeah, and then we froze the veggies and then warmed it up again in the like a mushroom gravy and all that. So I think that gives you that comfort that you're looking for. But raw expansion, Anais, she has a ebook called Cozy Flavors, and that one also has loads of tips about how to stay raw during winter. I think she talks about movement as well, so not just eating, but a holistic approach to that. Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can check that one out.
On a side note, if you want to check out all of these books, you can get all of them and also our ebooks in the bundle right now. So you can go to my link in my bio or Chef Yin's link in her bio and download it right now for only really just $50. But you know the value of that is almost 9,000, which is crazy. Just oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
I usually like manage to go through all the books in previous bundles, but this one has so many. I haven't been able to look
mm,
through all of them yet. It's just so
yeah,
much.
it's so much.
Yeah,
I also
good
haven't had
value.
the yeah, but um the two you mentioned, so Michelle and Anais, I'm actually going live tomorrow with Michelle and with Anais on Saturday, and yeah, they have amazing ebooks. But I want to mention because Yin, you let me know before that that you had something to do and you
Oh
couldn't
yeah, I
stay
have to go
for too
soon.
long. But
I
yeah,
have to go soon. Maybe we'll
so
answer one more question and then I'll need to
okay.
go.
Well, this question that I have here. So why is it important to add a salad? Can we be on all fruit? You want to answer that, or should I?
Um, yeah, I can answer a bit, and then you go ahead as well and add in. I mean, to be honest, I never for a long time as a raw vegan chef, I never liked salads. I only started that's why I think I was always my focus was always making things that are not salads, or I guess dishes that have salad ingredients but they're disguised to be something else, so I have
Mm,
like, yeah, Asian noodles, or like um yeah, or Asian rice and all that,
yeah,
like Indonesian
I
fried
think
rice
they
and all
mean
that.
I think with the question they mean like just veggies. Why is it
Oh,
important to
greens,
add
right?
veggies? Yeah.
Yeah, because but I think when I started adding way more greens into my meals last year, because last year there was a period where I was really down. Um, and then I realized, like, when I started adding more greens, I don't know whether it was a coincidence or not, because yeah, that's when I started having like salads every day. And oh, because of Matt's ebook, uh 5-star salad, where he says like include 450 grams of, so 1 pound of greens, right? So I started adding that. Initially it was a bit difficult, but I started just putting like 200 grams, then 300 grams, then 450 grams, which is 1 pound.
Mhm.
I felt way better, and I think it's also because I will feel you need the minerals from it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. I mean, there are some people are fruitarian and they just swear on all fruits as well, but I don't think that's sustainable long term from what I understand. I mean, you can do that for a while, but I think not many people last that long.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of like nutritions, yeah, you'll be better about talking about nutrition. I just
Uh,
thought about making food and so yeah. So the green stuff,
Totally.
yeah. You go ahead and answer that part.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think you're right, you know, and I don't think it's sustainable either to eat only fruit long term. There have been many people who have done it and people who still do it who promote an only fruit diet. However, the general trend with those people is that they can maintain it for a couple months, maybe even a couple years, but then something happens and they feel very imbalanced in general in many things in life, in many different aspects. And so the general trend for those people is that they go back to eating animal products because they felt like they needed something else. Um, I find eating greens and veggies, but specifically greens, so important. You know, when we look at our physiology and anatomy, we have the the body of a frugivore animal. So just like other chimpanzees, bonobos, orangutans, right? They eat primarily fruit, but they eat also plenty of leaves. I believe that they complement our diet incredibly well. They add a lot of minerals, a lot of valuable fiber, a lot of vitamins and phytochemicals, so chemicals that substances that are in plants that have incredible um, nutritional but also medicinal um, value for our body, you know. So things like, you know, all of those antioxidants and like anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory things, those are in great quantities in greens. And greens are um, a thing that people struggle with eating more because we, like in most cultures, it's not very common for people to learn to eat greens. Fruit, yeah, it's introduced in most people's diets, you know, like for dessert or something. So it's easier to eat, it's sweet, it's easier
Mm.
to digest. Greens take a little bit more work if you never have eaten them. You know, I've never really eaten greens as a kid, but I've always eaten raw cabbage and like coleslaws. You know, it's traditional in Poland to eat those kind of things. And I've never struggled with digesting cabbages, which, or like in general, cruciferous vegetables, because I've eaten it since I was a kid. I had the microbiome, the gut microbes that take care of digesting these foods. So I didn't have any issues with that. Like many people do have the
Yeah.
problem to digest greens, but specifically like cabbages, broccoli,
Yeah, I
um,
have that problem.
kale. So you know, it is in part your diet and lifestyle. Like that really determines how well you digest those foods. So if you never eaten them, it's difficult that you will digest them all. Yeah, it's so yeah, I think it's very important to eat those fruit and greens.
Yeah. So sorry, but I need to rush off already.
Yeah, of course. So thank you so much, Yin, for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with me and with everybody who joined us. I will stay for a couple more minutes to answer the questions that we have here. So stick around with me, guys.
Okay.
But you, Yin, thank you so much. I appreciate your time
All
and
right.
everything
Thank
that you shared with
you.
us. And if you want to check out Yin's amazing Asian-inspired raw vegan recipes, check out her ebook in the sorry, in the plant-based bundle. Um, there's so many bundles, I always get
Yes.
confused. In the plant-based bundle right now, and either of our links, get it right now.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much, Damien, for having me, and
Thank
thanks
you so much.
everybody for joining. And I guess Damien will help answer the rest of the questions. I gotta run off.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Uh, there's a good question here. Someone asking, do you eat salt and how to make salads palatable without salt? Um, yeah, at the moment I do eat some salt. Again, I've went with for some times without salt, and that was when I felt the best. I think there's a really big benefit to stopping eating salt for longer periods of time and you know forever really. We don't need salt as in the mineral rock salt, but we do need sodium and chloride, which is the minerals that table salt is made of. We need both, but we need it coming from organic sources, so from fruits and vegetables. We can't really take absorb and use the mineral salts just as well. How to make salads palatable without salt um, is a thing that you get used to. But first of all, quality counts a lot. So you have to get really good quality greens. Um, Go find the best greens at your local supermarkets, grow them yourself, that is the best way of making sure that your veggies actually taste good in the first place. They will taste a lot saltier. They will have bigger sodium content if they have been grown in good soil, in very rich, nutrient-dense soil, and they will have a better taste, definitely. Another thing that you can do to make it more palatable without salt is, for example, add more seaweed in there. Um, Seaweed still has like residues of salt water, of seawater on them, but they have a lot of sodium within themselves. So you can, soak them if you want to wash off the salt off the seaweed, and then put it in your salad. The salad's gonna be much more delicious, much saltier. Someone commented here, Fruitarian Girl, Anastasia. Yeah, celery is one of the best sources for sodium. What I used to do before, like last summer when I gave up salt completely and when I was making the transition, what helped me a lot was to dehydrate celery. So I took like 5, 6 bunches of celery. I cut it very fine. It was summer, so I put it for 2 days in the sun and let it dehydrate, let it dry. And then I finished dehydrating until like it's fully like 100% dry in the dehydrator. Um, and and then you just pulverize it in a dry blender and you have celery salt. That's an amazing way of bringing that sodium level up in your salads. I hope that that answers your question. Okay, there was another question here. So Fruitarian Girl, Anastasia, asked me, have you ever been fully raw for a long time? The longest time I went raw was 8 months when I was in Bali, actually. You could count also technically the 3 months before that, but during Christmas I ate some cooked foods with family at the Christmas dinner. So that was the only only time within that almost 1 year period of time where I've eaten 100% raw. And honestly, that's when I felt my best. However, when I came back to Europe, I found it a little bit more challenging during the winter. But now what I eat is very simple cooked foods. So mostly like sweet potatoes, some squash, or some steamed greens, broccoli, things like that, or some chickpeas or lentils. Very, very, yeah, very simple cooked foods. Let's see, another question here. Here, this one. I have the same foods that I always go back to, even when I try eat healthier, but or more vegan options. How do I break that kind of cycle? That's a good question. What kind of food do you go to if you're still around? That kind of tends to matter a little bit. There seems to be some in the food psychology world. There seems to be a connection between the types of foods that we crave and the kinds of emotions that are behind that we are trying to suppress. Because that's usually how it goes. When cravings hit, we use food often as a distraction, as a way of distracting ourselves from the uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable emotions that we're going through at the moment. So many of us have learned to go towards food to uplift ourselves, to forget, to yeah. But how do you break that kind of cycle? It's a complex topic. It really depends on where the cravings are coming from. First of all, with cravings, one of the main reasons for that is that you're not eating enough. You're just purely like hungry. your body needs nutrients, your body needs energy, and you're not delivering that in the right amounts. You may be unconsciously restricting yourself, or maybe consciously restricting yourself from eating enough food for whatever reason. So we have to discard that first. We have to rule that out. Second of all, if it's emotional eating, so when we are stressed out, when we want to distract ourselves from any uncomfortable feelings that some people might call negative, there's no negative feelings for me, but things like anger, sadness, feeling lonely, things like that. And people tend to distract themselves, whether it's with food, whether it's with drugs or alcohol or entertainment of any kind, or pornography, anything really that releases some dopamine in our brain and helps us to distract ourselves from that. So we have to discard that. Another thing is when we have been doing this, repeating the cycle over and over again, it has become a habit. And then it's a little bit more challenging to break out of that. So those are the behavioral reasons for cravings. And in that case, you have to first make sure that you eat enough, so discard the physical reasons for cravings. Then you have to take care of yourself, of your emotional and mental health, with better, healthier coping mechanisms instead of going for food. You have to process those emotions. You have to feel them. You have to create that safe space for yourself to feel those things. Then you have the behavioral reasons for cravings, and then we get used to it, and when we are in a similar environment where the cues kind of repeat themselves, like for example, it's night time, you sit on a couch to watch a movie, and you always used to eat some chips or some popcorn when you're watching a movie in the evenings after work. Your brain associates all of those cues and with that moment of getting chips or popcorn, and then it makes you crave those things again. It craves that dopamine hit from that. In other occasions, it might be just as a relief from the stress from the day. And when you come back from work, those cues kind of repeat themselves over and over again. So it's difficult to answer this question, but if you are still around here with us, Marketa, not sure how to pronounce that, message me and we can go to the root of the issue of what is going on with these cravings. Let me see if there were any other questions. Otherwise, here, Ranveer, any suggestions for someone who is going through a flare-up or of ulcerative colitis? Yeah, I mean, the approach is very similar for everyone, with transition and gradual steps towards eating a raw food based diet. We need to make those gradual steps of introducing more plant foods, which are the things that our body needs in order to heal our gut, heal our body on different levels, and also to restore that gut microbiome, which is the causing of that ulcerative colitis or any other gut health issues like Crohn's disease or IBS, like I used to have. So there's not a specific thing that I can tell you that will help with that, but it's a process of reintroducing gradually more fruits, more vegetables, more herbs, and heal your gut microbiome step by step. and for every person that will look differently. So the time, um, the time that it will take you to heal that, it will be different for each person. There's someone asking here, let me bring it up. How do you explain chest pain with fruits? I cannot eat them after a week on all fruits. I'm not sure what you mean with this, chest pain with fruits. Um, does it happen with certain fruits, or does it happen with all fruits altogether? There's a thing called melon belly. So with very hydrating foods like melon, and it happens also with mango. Um, when we eat a lot of watermelon or a lot of mango at once, there's something that our stomach gets very distended, and we get this really weird pain in our belly. Sometimes it's in the back, even goes to the shoulder. For different people, it feels a little bit differently, but it's a very intense pain just after eating fruit. And so there's two theories with this. One is that when watermelon and mangoes, also apparently some mangoes, watermelons, melons, they digest a little bit differently in the stomach because they're so water rich and so rich in enzymes. They don't digest so much in the stomach, but they go almost directly to the small intestine. So when we eat a lot of quantity of watermelon, all of that watermelon just goes to the small intestine, and that's of course like much smaller in volume. It can contain much smaller volumes of food in general. So if you eat a big quantity of watermelon, that small intestine gets distended, and as it happens, we have the vagus nerve that runs like from our head to basically through our whole abdomen, and it's the biggest nerve in our body. Has many big um, functions. So when the intestine gets distended because it has all of that watermelon inside, it touches actually on the vagus nerve, and that's the weird pain that we get with melon belly. Oh, but here someone, okay, she answered or he answered, I'm not sure. I have a burning pain even with one banana after 1 week on them. Oh, not quite sure what's happening there. That's something I've never heard. Do you think it might be like acid reflux? Like, yeah, it could be that. It could be detox symptom as well. Um, I'm not sure. So many different possibilities. Um, yeah. Okay, guys, have time for one more question. So if you wanna ask something, now's your time. Otherwise, otherwise, hmm, nothing with reflux. I think too much potassium. Well, it's difficult. It's difficult to get a potassium overdose. Like many people get worried with eating too many bananas, um, that we get too much potassium. There's many other things that people eat that have a lot more potassium, and it's not a risk to like get too much. Really, it's so much difficult to. Um, oh, that's a sign. My body cannot process so much fructose. Do you know this for like? Is this a diagnosis that you got, or is this something that you are suspecting? But anyway, I think this conversation is better to have it in private. So maybe message me on DMs, and then we can have a talk about this. But yeah, awesome. That's something that I've never really heard about. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on this live. Tomorrow I'll be going live again with Michelle Delborough, and we're gonna be talking about a lot more about these things, about Roving Diet, about the Roving Bundle. If you wanna get, I don't have it here, but yeah, if you wanna get my ebook, there's over 100 recipes and also some transitional recipes, some transitional cooked recipes in there, besides lots of salads and dressing recipes and smoothies, ideas for the whole year. So also for winter time, like it's yeah, it's full of amazing information on how to make this diet work long term. Ranjan, just go to my profile and you click on send message. You should get it there. Otherwise, I'm going to copy your name and I'm going to send it to you. Okay, Ranjan 8652. Thank you so much, guys. See you.